with FC26 just around the corner, coming out this Friday for Ultimate Edition and EA Play Pro members. We are going to look at your top 5 teams that I think you should manage in your career mode, with the exception of, obviously, you should always control your club as number 1. But if you don't want to do that for this year, then here are some good options for you to go ahead and get into to control as your first career mode of FC25, or FC26 I should say, and then obviously you can do any of these saves down the line as well. But we are going to go ahead and start here in France here with AS Monaco. If you're looking for the perfect first save in FC26 career mode, look no further than AS Monaco in the French Ligue 1 division here. The French Giant, or the former French Giant, has all the ingredients for an exciting long-term project. We have a mix of the young talents like Ansu Fati, Akalouche, all those guys in AS Monaco, and then we also have a mix of established stars. We do have Paul Pogba coming back into the game for his first time since the doping ban. He is gonna be one to pay for. That's kind of the main reason why I've selected AS Monaco as your first save to do, is that the real headline is obviously the return of Paul Pogba. He signed his first professional contract with AS Monaco in real life at the time of recording. He is actually yet to feature for AS Monaco in the real life system, but he's obviously going to be able to play from the rip. I should hope so. He should be able to play from the rip at the start of FC26. You might actually have to play him a game before they put him in the game, which is kind of insane there. But he obviously served the 18th-month doping ban. It was originally 4 years. It got jumped down to 18 months because of, I guess, good behavior or whatnot, or the PO1, whatever not. Don't really know the whole story to that. It's a redemption arc for Paul Pogba. He's obviously on the older side of the terms of football, kind of up there in his 30s and whatnot, but he still has it. It is still Paul Pogba. He's one of the best midfielders, one of the best creative midfielders in world football. Combining these stars with Monaco's famous, obviously, youth academy. They have a great youth academy. Compete for the League 1 with PSG. Obviously, PSG is the strongest team in the French division. It is a farmer league for PSG. So build up the squad with young and experienced players, mix them combined, and try and lift that Ligue 1 trophy and take over PSG's crown as the French killers of the division. Next up, we have Newcastle United in the Premier League, and after selling Alexander Isak on deadline day for a Premier League record fee to Liverpool, which makes Liverpool tip over the edge of over 500 million spent this summer alone, both Visa from Brentford and Max Volmade from Stuttgart have massive shoes to fill. They have been brought in to essentially replace Alexander Isak, and that's kind of why he didn't leave into deadline day. Newcastle United, well, to be honest, Alexander Isak didn't really say he wanted to leave until a couple weeks before the deadline date anyway, and then he started doing this. It was a battle between the hierarchy of Newcastle and Alexander Isak. They finally brought in replacements for Alexander Isak, or at least they hope they brought in replacements for Alexander Isak, allowing him to go on deadline day for over 125 million. He is off to Liverpool. There is not going to be a good start for them though in the real life season. Obviously, Alexander Isak hasn't played for them since saying he wanted to leave, so they've kind of had a rough start from that, not winning a single game so far this season at the time of recording. By the time you're seeing this, they could have won over the weekend. There was obviously an international break after the first 3 games of the season. They didn't win in those 3 games of the season. Hopefully they win this weekend. I am recording this on a Thursday, I'm actually recording this on 9/11. So after a rough start to the season, not winning a game, go ahead and get them back into European spots and continue spending that oil money to essentially create a second Manchester City. This time, just do it legally, but you're still spending oil money, so you're still a bit not a serious club in my eyes. Next up, the third club I have suggested for you to go ahead and take over. This is maybe a little bit of a longer term save here for your first one. It's time to take over a financially struggling club and bring them back to European fighting club that they once was. They weren't really fighting for European trophies, but they were fighting for European spots within the La Liga ecosystem. Since the owner of Peter Lim that took over in 2014, the club has been plagued with financial troubles, most notably amongst the Valencia Valencia fans are the lack of the reinvestments off of the sales of their star players or players that have become stars. That include Rodrigo to Man City, Ferran Torres to Barcelona, Dani Parejo, Guedes, and even more later down the line as well. By 2020, by the year of the COVID outbreak, the club was hundreds and hundreds of millions in debt, which forced the club to pretty much not sign anyone. All they really relied on was free agents, youth players, the youth system, and very low expense loans, and that's kind of caused them to decline from European fighting squads to relegation fighting team here. Your job is to take over the club and build the club by only signing free agents and loans, as well as obviously using the youth system if you want, until you can raise 100 million in transfer sales and then reinvest that money back into the squad to start being able to buy some players again, and actually doing what the owners wouldn't do and won't do, is reinvesting in their sale players. Valencia, they are struggling financially. They are struggling in every aspect of the department and in the club at the moment. So this is a proper rebuild for Valencia. This is a proper FM26 save, but transfer that FM26 to FC26 and have yourself some fun. Next up, we have Bayer Leverkusen, and now while I was scripting this video, this was right after they decided to sack Erik ten Hag. So with the recent news of newly appointed manager Erik ten Hag getting the sack after only 2 games in the season, he's only gotten to play 2 games in the season. Most notably, he obviously lost the first game of the season, and then I believe he was up 3-1 in the first game, in the second game, and then they came back and drew level 3-3. They ended up tying that game, and so after a bit of a kind of fierce meeting, fierce negotiations, Erik ten Hag gets sacked after only 2 games by the board of Bayer Leverkusen. So it's the perfect time to take over the German squad, while they've essentially been stripped of what made them so successful just 2 seasons ago when they went invincible with Xavi Alonso and went ahead and won the Bundesliga for the first time in a really long time. Obviously, they have now appointed a new manager since the sacking of Erik ten Hag and the making of this video. I don't know who it is. I thought it was going to be honest. I really thought it was going to be Ainge, but that's not happening. He's actually going over to Nottingham Forest. But they obviously have lost a lot of their star-studded squad that made them so successful and what kind of put them back on the map as a bigger club in Germany. They lost Jeremy Frimpong and Wirtz, both going over to Liverpool. Xhaka moving back to the Prem to go over to Sunderland to try and help them stay up in the Premier League. And then obviously Hincapi going over to Arsenal on loan for what it is counting, but it's more than likely a loan with an obligation or option to buy either or. The invincible winning squad of 2023 and 24 are just down to the bare bones, and they really didn't spend in the transfer window to really replace the caliber of players that they lost. So the lack of talent reinvestment, they definitely reinvested a little bit, but the talent that they reinvested in is kind of long term in my eyes. But so my job for you is to jump into the squad, sign some decent players that can maybe fit the criteria of Jeremy Frimpong, Florian Wirtz, Hincapi, and the likes of. Obviously, you can actually technically keep Hincapi in your squad if you really want to, because he is just on loan at Arsenal in the game, so you could recall him and have him in there. He's a great defender in real life. Actually just had a great spell in international duty with his country. Jump in there and try and win the league again. Try and push towards European success this time. That's something that Xavi Alonso couldn't really do with this Bayer Leverkusen squad, was obviously pushed deeper into European competitions. He's now looking to try and do that at Real Madrid. In my head, there's technically managerless. I don't know how good this manager is. I never heard of him in all honesty. So jump in, rebuild them, and get them to European and domestic glory. And then last but not least, we are going over to Italy over here at AC Milan, or aka Milano FC on FC25, and more than likely FC26 as well. AC Milan are a club riddled with success. They have a lot of league titles, or scudettos if you want to call them that, obviously. They now see themselves for last season finishing in 8th. This season they're currently sitting in 8th. They didn't have a great season last season. They got knocked out relatively early into European competitions. They made it to the Coppa Italia final, in which they actually lost. They fired their manager again. They kind of been going through a manager roulette, but now with Allegri coming back for the first time since 2013-2014, which was actually the last time they finished in 8th, and that was that year when he left or got sacked. He's now back with the squad, looking to rebuild them back up and win the Scudetto for the first time since 2020, I believe. I believe it was the first one. They're trying to reach the 20th Scudetto in this save. Now that's your aim, is to jump over to Italy, rebuild the squad up, use the likes of Christian Pulisic, Rafael Leao, Yunus Musa, Mainan, all those great talents. Theo Hernandez, you have some great talent. Is Theo Hernandez at the club? He might have went to Saudi Arabia, in all honesty. Yeah, jump in there and rebuild them and build them back up to European giants and retake over Inter Milan, who's been having the more successful edge of the Milanos here lately. So go ahead and do that. That's going to be it for me today. If you did enjoy this video, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe as we push harder and harder and harder and harder and harder to monetization on this channel. I need your likes. Leave the like. Watch this video in 2 times if you have to. Leave a comment. Help me out here. Until then, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see y'all tomorrow for new stadiums on FC26. Peace out.